living la vida low carb. This show is changing lives. We talking about your diet, trying to get you feeling right. Cut up them avocados, fry some eggs. Time to explore the longest running health podcast, hosted by Jimmy Moore. Time to give up the crappy garbage. We're getting into ketosis. Every day is a new step to your goal. Yeah, you're getting closer, motivated and focused. Don't stop, just go. Time to get inspiration from the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. Hey, the livinglowcarbshow.com.
I love it. He wears that little cowboy hat, and so that's always your signature. Every time I go to the farmer's market, I see the big white hat. I know Travis Childers is standing right there.
Everybody always asks, where's the cowboy?
Yes, exactly, because it stands out, man. Well, guys, this is Travis Childers. He is literally the farmer I have bought most of my meats and things from over the past, 5, 6, 7 years. I've known you. Really kind of got to know you and your wife, Stacy, a lot the last few years. Y'all found out I was an author and podcaster, and you're like, oh, wow. And in fact, you recently started getting interested in fasting, and you're like, you know anything about that, Jimmy? And I'm like, yeah, I know a little something about fasting.
Thank you for putting us onto the book. We appreciate it.
Yes. Well, happy to do that. But today we got you here for reasons that I wish we didn't have you here for. And quite frankly, I hate that this happened to you. You've definitely made lemonade out of lemons, and I'm really happy that you found another market where you can sell your wonderful meats. I will definitely come find you at the Landrum Farmers Market this coming up weekend. So I've missed having, like, guys, if you've never had smoked pork loin, this man here has the most incredible, and you actually sell it as kind of a loss leader. You don't really make any money off of it, but you know it's something that your customers want, so you make it and you provide it. I think that's beautiful. Like, you don't monetize everything, and I was just saying before you came on the air, farmers don't make a lot of money on what they do. The margins are so small, but you don't do it for the money. You do it because you love people, you love community, and you love providing real, fresh, whole foods that nourish people.
Well, we like to make a good, honest living, and you can do that if you farm right and you keep people first. And remember, food isn't a business. It's not an industry. It's local. It's personal. And if you keep it that way, you can make an honest living. And we farmers aren't all just hicks from the country. We study these things. We learn our trade, and so that we can provide the best product absolutely possible.
Yeah. So, guys, if you want to check him out, oldpazfarm.com. I always flub over your name. I want to say Old Pat Farms, but no, it's oldpassfarm.com. Go check him out and his website. You're also over on Facebook, not as active on Instagram, but you're out there is the point if people want to go look you up. But I interviewed Jordan Poole from the farmers market where this incident happened, Hub City Farmers Market in Spartanburg, South Carolina, and got her side of the story. So I'm like, okay, now let's hear from the farmer. Why don't you tell us your version? Don't go too long, but the kind of the short version of what happened that got you booted from the market.
Sure. Her name's Jordan Wolfe, by the way.
Oh,
she's the.
Sorry, I said Poole. I'm sorry.
That's right. Well, we, as you know, the virus has been really disruptive of normal routine and practice for the last year and a half now. But the market back in June of last year instituted a policy where all vendors were required to wear a mask while they were interacting with customers at the market. So didn't have to wear them the whole time, but needed to wear them when we had customers. And we appreciated that. We didn't necessarily agree that the masks were the effectiveness that we were being told they were, but those matters are neither here nor there. We wanted to make sure that we were doing all that we could to.
Well, they were going by the CDC guidelines at the time, and yeah, there were studies that were coming out that were showing the ineffectiveness of masks, but they were going by whatever the CDC says. That's what we're going to do.
Right, and it's a legitimate position to take, and we were, I won't say we ever enjoyed wearing the mask, but we certainly complied with that for over a year.
Yeah.
Then about 4 weeks ago, that policy was changed, and the new guidance was that vendors no longer have to wear a mask. And we're like, well, that's great. Caveat, the condition that was placed was that we had to show proof of vaccination in
Yes.
order not to wear a mask. And so at that point, the whole issue changes. This is no longer about public safety. This is about will you comply? That's right. Will you make yourself stand out as being non-compliant, or either because we don't want to have the vaccination, or because, more importantly, having to prove that you've made a private personal health decision in order to engage in commerce or other relationships is not only unconstitutional, it just patently breaks down the community that we're trying to build.
Look, I asked Jordan that point blank because I said, before I told her I had that email, at any time did you require proof of showing that you got the hokey pokey? I'm speaking in code because I will get banned on YouTube if I don't. And they're like, no, we don't require that. We just took them at their word. And I'm like, so you never sent out any kind of policy change or something? Well, we sent out an email that informed them that we would like them, but we never actually asked in person. And I'm like, so it says here, and I was reading directly from the email that was sent to you guys, and it says you must show your jabby jab card, or you must wear a mask the whole time. And the other thing too, the old policy, you could take off the mask when you weren't around customers, but then when customers come up, you put it back on. The new change said you can't take it off the whole 4 hours. And I know you were telling me one of the weeks, about 6 weeks ago, we're getting kind of dizzy wearing these, so we're going to have to come up with a decision about what we do.
Well, that's right. I mean, the new policy made absolutely no sense. We're going into, many, many months later, we're going into a time where everyone, even states that have been the most stringently following mask guidance and so forth, lifting those restrictions. Yeah, California no longer requires masks, and Hub City Farmers Market thinks that we need to ramp that up. And so it's really hard. We try never to judge people's motives and hearts. We look at what their actions and their words tell us, but it's a hard sell that all of a sudden we're now more dangerous than we were before. And so we're going to have to comply in a more stringent and straitjacketed form of way that's going to make us stand out to our customers as, hey, these people, there's something wrong with them because they're still wearing a mask.
Keto Chow is a customizable shake mix that is also perfect for cooking and baking, giving you simple, nutritionally perfect meal options. Keto Chow. Make keto easy. Discover your favorite flavor at jimmylovesketochow.com.
Well, and what was funny too, I also brought up that the CDC has declared you no longer have to wear a mask when you're outside. And those of you that don't know, Hub City Farmers Market is an outdoor market. And Jordan's response to that was, well, we still have hundreds of people coming through the market, and we got complaints from some that they want to make sure they're safe. And I'm thinking, do you have a delivery system? Do you have alternative means for them to get the food they want if they want to order some? And she said, yeah. I'm like, those people can go that route. Like, why does everybody have to put up with what a few want? That seemed odd to me as well.
I think it's a stretch. I think it's trying to justify an unjustifiable position. Another thing people may not be aware of, our setup at the market puts a table between us and our customer. So
Yes.
We're very close to the 6 feet guidance anyway, anytime with our customer, unless it's one of our dozens and dozens of customers that we know and love from over the years, and we may be giving them a hug and shaking hands and so forth. But that type of close interaction never occurs with a brand new customer. They're always on the other side of the table.
And look, that's that individual's choice. Like, I have yet to be at that market with a mask on. I just don't. And I haven't gotten the jabby jab, and I'm not worried about it. And vice versa, because I take care of my immune system, because I eat wonderfully healthy foods from this incredible farmer somewhere I've met. But all of this came down to a huge blow up over something that I think was much ado about nothing. And of course, I brought in some other issues in my interview with Jordan that might have contributed to what led up to this kind of hot spot point about a month ago. You want to talk about some of those things that you think might have created some bad blood, that they were looking for a reason to get you out of there?
Well, sure. We had a meeting with Jordan and the chairman of the board at the market. There are 9 board members that oversee this market, and we had a meeting with Jordan and that chairman. We asked for the meeting to express some concerns that we had, particularly related to the position of the market manager and how our relationship with the market manager there had deteriorated over the last year. Just a little bit of background. We have, up until about June of last year, we had a wonderful, friendly relationship with the Hub City market manager, Heather Raines. Have been very supportive of her work there. It's a hard position. It's one that doesn't get a lot of thanks. It takes a lot of hard work, and Heather has been tremendous at digging in and working and providing that service to the market. But we began to have some issues, and those centered largely around private Facebook page posts that we made back around June of last year, when people were rioting, burning down the country and so forth,
Right.
and claiming that the solution to that was an organization called Black Lives Matter. And I want to say we are some of the least political people you can find. We just don't like to get involved in that.
I don't even know what politics is. That was the funny part. Like, as many years as I've talked to you, I have no idea what your politics are. You probably don't know what mine are, but it doesn't matter because it's about real food, not about anything else at the farmer's market.
We all need to eat healthy. We all need relationships. We all need community. And I don't care about any of those other things in your life. We're having that, building that community on the fact that we're all gathered together with this shared need and desire that we have.
Yes.
So, and the posts that we made were very clearly indicating we support equality for all. We're not saying that Black lives don't matter. I mean, what an absurd thing in the 21st century for someone to say.
Well, let's be clear. This was on your private Facebook page, not Old Paths Farm Facebook page.
Oh.
It was on personal Facebook page. And nobody, I even told you this the other day, I didn't even know you had a personal page. I knew about your business page, but I didn't even know about your personal page. Who's looking at the personal page of one of the vendors of a farmer's market, putting the connection of 2 and 2 together? Like, you don't even mention on your personal page anywhere that you're the owner of Old Paths Farm. Like, it's amazing to me. But somebody did see just a meme that you posted. What was it, a Booker T. Washington quote?
Booker T. Washington, who's one of our heroes, someone that we admire and respect greatly, who we think has helped to bring a whole group of people in our country into prosperity and to enjoying the good life like we want everyone to enjoy. And so we admire him and we talk about him. And so we shared that perspective. We were called on the carpet for that publicly at the very next farmers market just a few days later, and told that we would have to make our private Facebook page just that, private, so that the public couldn't see it because we were disrupting the market with that.
What was the argument of what you did? Because I mean, I think you told me that you didn't really write any commentary. You just posted a quote from Booker T. Washington. What was said, and then what did they say they didn't like about what was said?
Well, the claim was that the market was getting complaints that we had racist vendors. And how you get racism out of a quote like that, and if anyone knows me.
Isn't Booker T. Washington a black man?
Well, that's what they say. Again, we're not doing blood tests on people at our market. We're not checking skin pigmentation. We're not looking at where your ancestors came from or any of that thing. So to be called racist in a culture where we are strongly trying to build community and bring people from all backgrounds. I mean, honestly, when you would start talking about race, God created the human race, period. There aren't other races of human beings, and it's ridiculous to say that we're contributing to a racist environment.
So the point is, you and Heather had bad blood over this issue here a year ago, and it just kind of bubbled all throughout 2020 and into 2021. Is that what can happen here?
Although we didn't, we never backed away from our friendship with Heather. We felt like we wanted to do everything we could to maintain that. We found out in our meeting with Jordan and Ellen back a few weeks ago that Jordan was aware that there was tension there. There obviously had been talking about us there that made Jordan aware that things weren't as they ought to be. And yet we never had a sit-down conversation in the past year about any hurt feelings or any strained relationships or anything like that. So, here's a lesson, folks. When we're in community with one another, we have to talk to one another. We have to give each other the benefit of the doubt. We have to, if someone says, hey, Jimmy said this about you, I don't need to start blasting Jimmy on Facebook. I need to go to Jimmy and say, hey, Jimmy, we're friends. What's going on? And so that's what we've tried to do. So you asked earlier about how this all blew up.
Yes.
Once we, so we tried to talk privately with Heather about the new mask policy and say, this isn't right. This is discriminatory. It's damaging our business relationship. And by the way, you're not enforcing this equally. I mean, there are other vendors that are not following the policy. They're not being given written warnings. They're not being told you can't, you've got to do this or you can't come back. And Heather refused to budge. We had no outlet to express the frustration and, more than that, the concern that we had about how this is affecting our market.
The thing that Jordan said, and I want to get your response to this, is that you were basically being a rabble rouser. You were going around to the other vendors and encouraging them to buck the trend with the mask mandate. Did you do that?
No, not at all. We, there are vendors there, I would say fully, from what we can tell, probably a third of the vendors there, we know definitely were in disagreement with the policy like us. We talked with those vendors. We expressed frustration and concern, but we patently did not go around to vendors saying, hey, we need to buck this. We need to, light the torches and let's go march downtown and make our position known. We did none of that. If we ever spoke to a vendor about not wearing masks, these were personal friends that we were talking to and expressing our frustration and concern.
Well, and I've been going that market for a little while. I know a lot of those vendors too. And even this past Saturday, I was telling them about what happened to you that didn't know. A few of them did not know. They just knew you weren't there anymore. They didn't know why. And so I started talking to them and I said, this is why. And they're like, oh my God, like there's a lot of split there. And Jordan's like, well, I hate that this happened because we're losing customers, which is ostensibly people that support you. And then some of the vendors are a little bit upset. And I'm thinking, okay, but you got to make this right. So has there been any effort on their part to come back to you? Like, wait till you hear what Jordan had to say, because she does at least accept some complicity in what happened. I think that's huge because up until now, all the onus has pretty much been, well, you're a rabble rouser and you refuse to wear a mask, so we're going to boot you out. Now they're going, okay, yeah, we didn't handle that very well.
Real Good Foods is one of the fastest growing frozen food companies in the U.S. Everything they make is nutrient dense, high in protein, low in carbs, and made from real food ingredients. Instead of using processed flours, everything they make is 100% grain-free and gluten-free, which is how they keep their carbs so low. They can be found at Costco, Walmart, Target, Kroger, and in almost every grocery store nationwide. Or you can order online. Check us out today at realgoodfoods.com and at Real Good Foods on social media.
No, there hasn't been any communication from market staff or board or anyone to us since we left. And the communication, honestly, if the communication could have been better all along, I think we could have stemmed some of this. We could have avoided the very public face that we felt like was a last resort. If we weren't being heard, we weren't having our concerns addressed, and so we did what was necessary in the next step. We made our customers and fellow vendors aware of what the situation was. We sought an audience privately with Heather numerous times before we ever went to Facebook to broaden that scope. Jordan was out of the country during those couple of weeks and not reachable. We did reach out to the head chairman of the board, Ellen Carty, with our concerns, and she referred us back to Jordan to follow that proper chain of command with problems. But obviously, we couldn't address them there because she was out of country.
And under that auspice, Heather and you guys just should have had a détente, so to speak, where we're just going to let things go until Jordan comes back and then have the proper channels. Like, to me, it seems to me a lot of this has to do with they're a very young staff. Like, Jordan isn't that old, was she in her like 20s? And not that that means anything negative. I'm just saying that maybe there's a little bit of a generation gap. You're an older guy like me, and maybe just communication styles are different. They should know that. They should have the ability to talk to anybody, whether you're 80, 40, or 20.
Well, I agree. I mean, there's no reason when we have differences and agreements that we can't sit down and, with Paris Peace Accord style communication and conversation, work these things out. It has, and we have expressed that all along. We didn't want to leave this market. We certainly didn't want to harm our fellow vendors and the overall effectiveness of the market. In fact, on our Facebook post, we had a couple customers say, "Well, I support you. I'm never going back there." And we're like, "Well, let's back up. This is not what the goal is. This isn't about us and we're picking sides and we're going to then go have this pugilistic contest to see who's going to win. This is about healing our community and figuring this out." We just weren't given the chance to do that, and really didn't feel like we had the audience that cared about doing it.
At any point, did they come up to you when you were there in those last few weeks and ask for you to show your jabby jab card?
So the way it worked, we had an email on, I believe it was June the 27th, where Heather said, everyone's going to be required to, May the 27th, everyone's going to be required to, yes, that's it, May the 27th, either show proof of vaccination or continue to wear a mask. Heather was not at the next market. I believe she was on vacation. Jordan was there. And we did notice Jordan walking around and talking to vendors, not privy to what that conversation was. She never came and spoke to us a single time, and we didn't wear the mask. We had determined we were not going to. Nothing was said to us that entire market. The following market, which was June the 5th, Heather came to us at the very beginning of the market and said, "Hey, you need to wear a mask. Here's one if you don't have one." And I said, "Heather, we've already had this conversation privately. We're not going to wear the mask. We feel like it's not right for us to do it for various reasons." Nothing else was said to us that day. And at the end of the market, she handed us a written warning where she claimed in this written warning that you're seeing here on the screen that not only were we disregarding the mask policy, but we were creating a toxic environment. This was the first we had had from Heather about any toxicity coming from us. In fact, if you look at our emails back and forth during the last few weeks, and virtually every email, Heather says, "We would like to have you back at the market. This is, we're not trying to get rid of you." And yet the decision was made. Jordan told us in the meeting that they just felt like we had been hurtful in the things we said to them, and they couldn't trust us, and we were harming the market and their relationship with sponsors and so forth. All the while, where Heather, who is our contact, is saying, "We want you to come back to the market. You just have to follow the policy."
Right. Bear in mind, guys, he was one of the original vendors at this market. Like, when they first opened, and had been there week after week after week, participated in all their little events and everything. Like, you guys have been stalwarts for 7 years. It's not like you're some Johnny come lately. The Johnny come lately, quite frankly, is the staff. Like, Jordan, the lady that I interviewed, sweet girl, but she's only been there a couple of years. And
Right.
so, like, they should give you the benefit of the doubt, should have given you the benefit of the doubt, but they did not for whatever reason. Why? Why do you think they didn't?
Well, I think it goes back to what they perceive to be a difference in political position that we held and they had. I believe it was politically motivated. I think they've been trying to get rid of us, and that's a shame. We have
Because of the BLM stuff.
because we didn't toe the line of what seemed to be the market position. I mean, back when Black Lives Matter was a big thing, the market made a point of putting a post supporting Black Lives Matter on the market Facebook page. They did the same thing in June with Gay Pride Month and so forth. All matters which, of course, deserve to be debated and discussed in society, but have no bearing on the farmers market. I mean, again, all the things we're trying to do at the farmers market is to rise above differences that we have in other areas for a collective need and desire and benefit that our community has.
Yeah, I remember Father's Day weekend. There was no celebration of fathers that weekend. That would have been kind of cool in June. Yeah, so they're going to be thematic, be consistent with it across the board and not pick and choose certain ones, which is what I'm hearing you say. So there is inclusiveness for all people.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you what my customers do outside of the 15 to 20 minutes we have interacting with them on Saturday, and I don't care.
Right. Nor do you care. Like, that's the point. Like, I come buy about $50 to $100 worth of meat from you. And we talk a little bit about like how our week's gone, and that's it. Like it's not rocket surgery.
Well, and I want to say too, because there's always a tendency to get down to dollars and cents and all of these issues, and it's so much more beyond that for us. I mean, when I talk about customers, I'm talking about people that show up at the market, and they're probably half of those people have never bought from us, but we have conversations with them nonetheless. We like seeing them. We like knowing, how they're doing, how their week's been, what's important to them, making conversation. That's important to us. And that's why we enjoy. I mean, we have not missed a market Saturday in 7 years until they told us we couldn't come back, because it's important to us. We want to be there. We want to not miss our customers. We want to be part of building this great, wonderful thing that's the community there.
Well, thankfully you have found a new market, the Landrum Farmers Market. I am going to come see you this weekend. Is it hours 8 to 12, just like Hub City?
The hours are 8 to 12. Vendors can come early, leave early, whatever, depending on what they have. So it's a little more flexible than Hub City, but for the most part, all vendors are there, set up by 7:30, and everybody's there to 12 or 12:30. It's a big, nice outdoor market. 48 vendors there last week, so lots and lots of good options for purchasing.
And no mask requirements, no have to show the jabby jab proof requirement. I even asked Jordan that question. I said, so what are the other markets in the area regarding getting the jab, regarding using a mask? Is that, well, I don't know about any in Spartanburg County, but I know Greenville and Travelers Rest, they have no such restrictions. And I'm thinking, no other farmers market that does what you do is having these things. So why did you put Travis and his family through this? And your little 12-year-old, she's cute as a button, by the way, your little 12-year-old daughter makes these little doggy treats, homemade organic doggy treats. That business is blown up. Because, well, now she's at the Landrum Market, but at Hub City, it's unfortunate all around how all this went down.
Well, it is, because, we won't ever be back at Hub City Farmers Market. That relationship has been broken, but we have dozens and dozens of customers, both human and canine now, that are dear to us that we miss. And we want to continue those relationships. We certainly will service them here at the farm, at Landrum if they want to come out. But that's the sad thing. what our driving goal and desire has been at this market for the last 7 years has been stripped away. And yes, blame lies at the feet of those that did not enforce policy fairly, equitably, that lied when asked about issues like Spartanburg Regional being the one that was asking for this to be enforced. Spartanburg Regional categorically denies that they put any pressure on the market, and yet the market manager told vendors and customers that that was the case. So they were willing to throw their sponsor under the bus to cover what they were trying to say.
Jordan categorically denied all of that in my interview with her, and she even said Spartanburg Regional wants us to leave them out of it. I'm like, look, sounds like your people were the ones that brought them into it, so it has to come up as a topic. And it's truly unfortunate. She made one other comment that I want you to respond to. Well, it's sad that we're going to now lose business and now potential vendors because of this incident. I'm thinking this should be your lesson, because lessons come with hard consequences. I call it paying stupid tax, because when you make stupid mistakes in your business, and I've made a few in my own business, you have to pay the piper for that. And unfortunately, they're going to lose a lot of customers because you were one of the top vendors at that market week after week after week. I know, like I said, I spent $50 to $100 with you every week, and that's just for me. How many other families spent money with you that now those monies are going to go to the Landrum market? They're going to see an increase and be able to expand. It is bad business what they did.
Well, it is, Jimmy. And, if I'm feeling kind of desperate financially and I say, I'm going to give this bank robbery thing a try and just see what I can get away with, and I get caught and I go to jail, there are a lot more people than just me that suffer. My children suffer. My wife suffers when we make bad choices, when we choose to lie, to deceive, to be unfair. There are going to be collateral damages. And to place that on the shoulders of those that have tried in the interest of community to expose those is really a stretch. It's unfair. And again, it's political. It's an attempt to avoid responsibility and to blame others for those actions. Did it hurt? Did our Facebook post and this blow up all this thing hurt the farmers market? You better believe it did. Was that our desire? Far from it. When the truth needs to be told, the truth has to be told. And then we try to pick up those pieces and make it better than it was before and get rid of the issues, get rid of the ones that are causing this to happen behind the scenes so that it blows up in the first place.
Well, and like the greatest point you made in this whole interview, thank you, by the way, for chatting with me. The greatest point you made was, why is politics, why is anything but community and real food in this discussion at a farmer's market? Should not be.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, guys, again, that's Travis Childers. Go check him out, oldpathsfarm.com. Also, Old Paths Farm over on Facebook. Go follow this man and see his toxic environment that he spreads. Love you, man. You're awesome. I appreciate you. Look forward to seeing you guys. I've missed you. I hadn't seen you like over a month now. Well,
come see us in Landrum. We miss you too.
Although you are up in Gaffney, anybody that's never been to Gaffney, South Carolina, look for the big butt in the sky. It's just, it's a big piece. And I always remember, because when you pass by, when people come to visit me, I'm like, you're coming on I-85. I'm like, you got to look for the big butt in the sky. And they don't know what I'm talking about until they see the beach and they go, oh, now I see.
Yeah.
But thank you, bud. And we'll get this out there and see what people think.
Appreciate you.
Get inspiration from the Living La Vida Low Carb Show. Hey, the livinglowcarbshow.com.
You guys tried the Paleo Valley beef sticks? These beef sticks are 100% grass-fed and grass-finished. And many of the grass-fed beef sticks on the market today are actually finished with grains. They use beef sourced from small domestic farms in the United States. They only use real organic spices to flavor the beef sticks versus all the conventional spices sprayed with pesticides and other natural flavors from GMO. They also ferment the sticks, which creates naturally occurring probiotics, all great for your gut health. And best of all, they taste amazing. Again, they're Paleo Valley, my favorite beef stick on the market today. Go check them out, you guys. paleovalley.com. Use the coupon code Jimmy at checkout for 15% off your first order. Paleo Valley beef sticks.